Hey guys, welcome back to the Shaving Tolson. This is your one and only host, Timmy2Shaves, and tonight we are going to be looking at a few different products. Now, full disclosure, this was originally intended to be more of a you guys watch me shave sort of thing, but unfortunately the mic that I was using during that shave actually ended up going on the fritz. Now, this is actually from last night. I'd actually filmed everything. I'd gone through the motions of getting all the equipment together, and I just wasn't pleased with the resulting product. The problem with the Samsung Meteor, and one of the reasons why I replaced it for this wonderful Yeti Blue Nano, is anytime that I would utilize it with my iPhone, which is what I use to do all my video editing, it's what I use to post all of my content, it has connectivity issues. And for this particular instance, what had happened is I was getting a really loud shrieking noise in the audio that I didn't hear or didn't pick up on during the film. So while I was filming all this stuff, that was happening. So don't unfortunately have any of that for you guys tonight. I might speckle a few moments from that video into this one so that way you guys can see me actually using some of the product. But I did at least wanted to discuss the product with you guys tonight and showcase what I used and why I used it. And a few of you guys have had some questions regarding CHEL, a product that was recently released by Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements, and there are dozens of different ways to use this product, and I'm gonna go over the ways that I utilized it in my shave last night, so that way if you guys have any questions on how you can best use and get the best results out of this product, hopefully this helps. But also the cool thing about this shave is it was showcasing me using a product that I love, that I've talked about before, but I've never actually showcased me shaving with it, nor have I done a little review with it. Now, this is just kind of a mini review. You guys have already heard a lot about Ariana and Evans, but many of you probably have not heard that much about Asian Plum, which would surprise me, but not necessarily. It's a very polarizing scent. Typically, this is a scent that you love or you hate, but you can come to really appreciate it if you do pick one of these up and you shave with it more and more. It's a very incense-like exotic fragrance. It has plum, I think it has tobacco. It's very complex and slightly fruity and a little bit florally. Is that a word? But it is a really nice, bold fragrance. And that's the thing that I like about Ariana and Evans, is that their soaps and their aftershaves are very bold. The fragrances stand out. The fragrance is really the king here. The performance is also top-notch. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a soap that stands toe-to-toe with Ariana and Evans in terms of performance. It's a premium soap base. It's still one of those that's very difficult for me to find something that competes, at least on the same level with it, but definitely with the aftershave. The aftershave is out of this world. If you have a chance to pick up the aftershave from Ariana and Evans, I highly encourage you, no matter what the fragrance. They've got plenty of fragrances to choose from, plenty of scent profiles, but their aftershave is phenomenal. I've yet to come across anything that is quite like it on the market, at least in an Aftershave Splash format. Plenty of skin food in here. It just leaves your face looking and feeling fantastic. But the fragrance on this aftershave, nothing can stand toe-to-toe with this as far as longevity. I could smell this late into the evening without following up with the EDP, which you should be able to see slightly off camera, out like closer to the edges of the frame. You can see it up there on that shelf. But I purchased the EDP because I was like, if this is that strong, if I can smell this all throughout my workday, God knows what the EDP is going to be like. And that was so true, because the EDP is probably the strongest EDP in my collection. I have few things that can compete as far as longevity and projection. That sucker will fill up a room really quick, and a little bit goes a long way, but you are going to be smelling that all night. When I actually picked up the EDP, I was going to performances in the evening, so I'd spray on some in the morning when I was heading to work, and then I'd go straight from work to my rehearsals. Could still smell it. As you're running around on stage, underneath those stage lights, dancing around, I could still smell the fragrance, and it was phenomenal. I absolutely love it. Can't recommend it enough, obviously. But what I utilized with these products tonight, with Ariana and Evans Asian Plum and the aftershave, was, of course, CHEL. Now, CHEL, from my experience, from my experimenting with this product, because this is still a very recent product, and if you guys saw my Instagram, as soon as I got this, it was, let's put it through its paces. Let's see what it can do. Because originally, when it was sent to me, it was kind of advertised as a pre-shaved gel. And, I messaged Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements back. I messaged Doug, and I'm like, man, this thing has so many applications. You can do whatever you want to do with this product. It doesn't have to be, specified as a pre-shave. This is just a chill gel, man. This thing is a powerhouse. It can do anything. And the more that you add of this product, and the more that you incorporate it in the various steps of your routine, the more you're going to get out of it. Now, are you going to be getting a super, super, super chill, the same that you'd probably get, like, let's say, with the Ruby Red Creeper from THB and their Aftershave Splash combined? Probably not. This is probably the coldest I've felt yet, and it's very long-lasting. It's fantastic. They use a different synthetic menthol here, or synthetic coolant, called Colada. What we're looking at in CHEL is Frescolat ML, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's just a type of synthetic coolant that you can use with your products, and that's the one that Doug uses in his. And I've had great results with it, no matter what I pair it with. And that's the great thing. You don't have to pair this with PAA, obviously, as I'm pairing it with Asian Plum. And let me get you guys a close-up shot of Asian Plum. That just looks absolutely gorgeous, that label art. But you can use this with whatever you want. And what I did was I took this product, and I initially started off with a bowl lather. So I used the Travel Scuttle from Crown King, and I just put a little bit on the edges of the bowl. And then I took my brush, which is the Wild West Brushworks handle with a silver tip badger knot. Received this from my buddy Boston Todd. Thank you, guy. Love you to death, man. You've been there to support me since the beginning, and I can't tell you how much that means to me. Definitely has a special place in the den. But I utilized this, loaded up my brush with some lather, transferred that to the bowl, added just a tiny bit of water. It doesn't take a lot for Ariana and Evans to explode with lather, especially in that Scuttle. And that was the first step. Now, before applying the lather, what I went ahead and did was I went ahead and did my pre-shave routine, which typically I'll use the Bloom water to really get that pre-shave going on, but in this particular instance, I just went straight up with the CHEL pre-shave gel, or the CHEL gel. And basically what I did is I just took a little bit of this, a dabble do ya, hey, and I rubbed it in between my palms, put it on the different points of my face, and just let it sit for like a minute to 2 minutes while I was prepping everything else. And that's the thing to keep in mind. If you let it sit for just a few minutes before going on to the next step, you're going to see an increase or a more noticeable effect of those results, more immediate effect of those results from the synthetic cooling sensation on the CHEL. But especially if you incorporate it in the steps that I'm showcasing here. So I did that with the pre-shave, went on, applied the lather, could immediately feel it there. And again, if you just let that lather sit for a second, you just let it really work its way in, you're going to really feel that, especially on the second pass. On the second pass, you definitely feel that slap of cold, and it feels really good. But the best thing about CHEL is it has no fragrance. Now, this particular CHEL, I think there's a little touch of prickly pear in there that I could pick up on. In the full production version, I'm not sure if that's the case. It's either unscented or it has a slight prickly pear scent. Not a big deal. You're not going to pick up on that. You're not going to smell that when it's worked into your lather or anything like that, or when you're pairing it with your aftershave. But you don't get that menthol blast. So you guys probably saw my video on the Cold Fusion soap from Wet the Face. Absolutely fantastic. Had a blast using that product. And man, did that make my eyes water. And that's just what traditional menthol does. Your eyes get really stuffy and swollen, and you start crying involuntarily, and it's just because that's what it does. If you want to clear your sinuses, go with traditional menthol. That's what it's really good there for. But if you want to go with something that gives you the cooling sensation, lasts a little bit longer, and doesn't provide you the negative effects that you might not be wanting as far as that scent, then a synthetic coolant is the way to go. And I've also talked about this on my podcast, and that's actually when I received CHEL, was after I'd made my podcast on synthetic coolants and why I want to see them implemented more in the community. We're seeing them with Summer Break Soaps Cannonball, we're seeing them with Noble Otter Orbit, we're seeing them with Barista Manterra. We're seeing a lot of these big artisans come out with their take on what synthetic menthol can do, and I'm really, really enjoying that. Of course, we just recently saw the release of Ruby Red Creeper by THB, the originators under the synthetic coolant flag, but I really want to see more artisans embrace it. And the cool thing is now that I've got CHEL, I still want artisans to showcase what they can do with it, but now I've got a way to incorporate this in any product that I want. So if it's not already included in that product, I can easily implement that to get the sensation of that creeping cool, which I love. But guys, I digress. Basically, after I put it in the lather, it felt absolutely fantastic. Second pass felt fantastic. And of course, the lather from Ariana and Evans is no slouch. After that, washed it off. And for the Aftershave Splash, some of you guys might be wondering, Tim, how can you incorporate this with a splash? With a balm, it's pretty straightforward. A little dab will do you for, 1 part balm and 1 part CHEL. But for the Aftershave Splashes, it's a little bit different for me. So what I do is I take a dab, put it on my palm, kind of swirl it around in the center. Then I'll take my Aftershave Splash, few dabs, work it in my palm, splash it on my face, and then I'm starting to get more of that cooling sensation. And again, the different ways that you apply this, experiment with it. I'm not going to say that I'm an end-all be-all on the CHEL product. I just have this is something that I've really, really wanted to see, and I'm glad we're seeing product like this. I know Sterling Soap Company had recently released kind of a drop menthol. I think that's more along the lines of traditional menthol, but it's some sort of dropper that you can drop menthol into your soaps, like their glacial soaps, which I think is really cool that we're seeing more people experiment with menthol, whether that's traditional menthol or a synthetic coolant like CHEL. I'm just really glad to see that stuff is actually happening in the community. But the overall shave, of course, was fantastic. Ariana and Evans always gives me consistent results. I always get a very dense lather with Ariana and Evans. It's never airy, it's never light. Very dense, heavy lather. Doesn't require a lot of water. It's not particularly thirsty. But it'll take water if you provide it, definitely. But it doesn't take much to get it worked up to acceptable levels as far as what you're going to want on your face, which is a nice, thick, well-covering, non-dissipating lather. And just look up Rud Shaves. He's done a few reviews of Ariana and Evans soap base, and they're always fantastic. I defer to his judgment typically when I'm wanting really in-depth reviews on a soap base. I do kind of my opinions, my experiences, a cursory glance over on a product, but he definitely dives in more on these products. If you're wanting to get something more along the lines of really in-depth reviews, I highly encourage you to go take a look at his channel. Again, it's just Rud's Shaves. Really cool guy. Love his content. But guys, that was pretty much it for a lot of the software and of course a one hardware item. But what did I use for the razor? So for the razor, I utilized the Razorock Switch. Now you guys have probably seen on my Instagram, I've talked about that I recently received the Lupo, which is this razor here. It's kind of a Gibbs homage. It's got the Gibbs head essentially with a new type of handle, but this accepts modern DE blades. The original Gibbs only accepted proprietary blades. But the Razorock Switch is kind of a new beast entirely. Now it has a similar design, and I wish I had it near me, of the Razorine, which is a type of shavette that accepts DE blades in a configuration very similar to this one. But the cool thing about the Switch is you can take it and you can unscrew it from here. You can remove this knob, you can screw it on the bottom, move this over on the side, and then you have a traditional DE. In the traditional DE configuration, it's absolutely fantastic. But I had not had good experiences in the Shavette pattern with the original handle, which is actually this longer one. The one that actually comes with the Lupo is slightly shorter. But the Razorock Switch handle is just too long. It just was not comfortable when I was moving across my face. The handle was kind of getting in the way, and it just wasn't grippy enough. So I switched it out with the PAA Alpha Ecliptic aluminum handle, and aluminum plus the aluminum head feels really good. I will say that the original handle that came with it is also aluminum, so it's an all aluminum construction. That's how you're able to get those cost savings there. These are only about $30-$40 for these razors, and that's a great deal for what you're looking at here. But last night was my first successful shave in the Shavette pattern. I was able to get nice, really clean lines. I was very satisfied with the overall shave. I will say that I did notice that the hair did seem to grow back pretty fast today. But overall, at that time, whenever I was feeling my face and feeling my neck, I did not get any irritation with this razor in either configuration, and there was almost no blade feel. When it's in the Shavette pattern and you're pulling your skin taut, you can feel a little bit more blade, but in the DE configuration, I really didn't get that at all. I didn't really get any blade feel. I felt that it was a very efficient razor and very comfortable. It really took down that stubble. I think I had at least 24 hours, if not more, worth of growth, and it took that down no problem. Made my face look nice, clean, pristine, good clean lines again. Very pleased with the end result on that. But overall, I've been very impressed with the Switch. The more that I use it, the more I get acclimated to it. The only thing is I didn't really care for the handle. But the cool thing with both of these razors, the Lupo and the Switch, is they can take almost any DE handle. I've tried them with just about everything. And the only one it doesn't seem to like is the Carve Christopher Bradley. Now that handle seems to be very specific to that razor. I've had a lot of difficulty using that handle with other razors too. So that's just, I think, a characteristic of that handle. But that's not a big deal. I've got plenty of other handles to choose from, and with traditional DEs, I've had no issues whatsoever as far as the threading. It's supposed to have the traditional threading on here, and it everything works like a charm. So really, however you want it to look and however you want it to shave, if you want a heavy handle, if you want an aluminum handle, you can have that, which is, I like the versatility of the product. And again, we're talking about versatility in CHEL. Incredibly versatile product. You can basically do with it as you will, and you're going to get very, varying results. You could have a very nice, mild cooling sensation, or you can have a really intense, more definitively cold sensation on your face that lasts a while. It just depends on how you use it, how much you use, and where you incorporate it in your routine. But I'm liking that we're seeing artisans come out with different kinds of products or different takes on products we've already come to know, like the Razorine. I would say out of the two, I do still like the Razorine a little bit more. The big change from the Razorine to this is that this one actually has decent posts that hold the blade in place, and the female ends on the base plate, the recessed portions for the posts are very nice and deep. So you really have a good blade mating there, or a good top cap, bottom cap mating there, and you have a very solid lockup of the blade. Whereas the Razorine are very shallow base plate and very shallow posts. So you don't get a lot of security there on the blade. You can tighten it down and it won't wiggle or move anywhere, but the blade does have some play before you lock it down, and that kind of bothers me. And I've heard that it bothers a lot of other people too, so that's been kind of a bummer with the Razorine. But again, I'm glad to see people coming out with different formats to that kind of style. And I like to see a lot of the innovation that we are seeing in wet shaving. As a friend of mine said, I think it was Eric Shaves, said we're living in the golden age of wet shaving. Couldn't agree more. This is a wonderful period that we're living in where we've got access to all of these wonderful soaps, brushes, bowls, all sorts of things. And I'm really looking forward to going into the next podcast episode where I'm going to be talking about a couple different things that I think you guys are going to really like. So stay tuned, of course, for the podcast. And speaking of, I wanted to give a quick shout out to everybody that tuned in on the previous podcast. That was the most successful podcast entry to date. Part of that, I think, was definitely due to talking about friendship shaving and the Macy. You guys can see I have it right here on my desk because it's got a special spot in the den. It's not even on the shelf. It's right here on the desk with some of my really high-end premium products because it's a fantastic brush. Frank Shaving did a really great job about making this. And of course, Friendship Shaving, Mark Hutchinson, is one of my favorite channels out there. So of course, I've got to give him my support and encouragement for what he's doing. And it's a stunning looking brush. But not only did we talk about that, we talked about a few things that are kind of troubling me about the community and trends that I've noticed and people that support these individuals into the kind of way that they carry themselves within the shave space. And I'm glad to see that I had a lot of people reach out to me privately, people from overseas, people here locally, friends of mine, people that I didn't even know were listening to the podcast, and they were like, I heard the podcast, I thought it was fantastic, you said what needed to be said. I've noticed it too, yada yada. So I'm glad I'm not the only one out there that's noticing these troublesome trends, and I'm glad you guys are speaking up about it and kind of bringing these to, not only my attention, but you're also saying, you're doing your part. Because really this space needs to be a space of positivity and encouragement. We need to be trying to rope in people into this community and share our love of wet shaving. And that's all I try to do. I just try to have fun with it. I've told several people, the minute that I stop having fun with this is the minute that I'm not going to do it. But that's not coming anytime soon. I absolutely adore this hobby. I love shaving. I love seeing the finished product of a great shave, of great products being used, of that awesome post-shave feel. It's just a good feeling. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video tonight. I enjoyed talking to you about the products that I utilized. What did you guys think? Have you used Ariana and Evans or the Shaving Shop Club? Are those products that you've really enjoyed when you did use them? Or have they been on your radar and you've been wondering, should this be a product that I look into? Maybe you're someone that has looked into Razorock's recent drop of the Switch or the Lupo. What did you think of those? Have you used them? Did you also have a problem with the handle? Stuff that I want to know. But anyways, guys, thank you again so much. You have a wonderful night. Shave on.
Do down, down, down. Comma, down, down.